Well, hey everybody, welcome in. Oh my gosh, this is my amazing remote viewing show. I'm Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress, and boy, do I have another really cool show for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here, man. I once again I have a really hopping chat tonight. A lot of people in chat. I'm so excited you guys are here. We're talking about something that is, I'm going to say, out of this world. Okay, something I'm not going to say never heard of it. Not one of them, but Barry Littleton tasked me with two separate targets of two creatures, some cryptids that he thought might be related somehow. And those were blind remote viewing targets. I got a set of coordinates for each of them, and let's just say he says I knocked the first one out the park for sure, 100%. The second one I was on target as well. But we're going to discuss this tonight. I'm going to go over what those things are in just a second because it's super, super, super cool. All right. Okay. Well, if you guys would like to follow along with all my shows, please visit my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there, all the events I'll be at, and all of my social media links are there. And also my shops. Okay. Because I have a shop there on my website where you can book a psychic reading with me if you choose, if you feel called to do it. And I want to give a big thank you to everybody who has gotten those with me before. You guys are the best. Also, I have some of my jewelry and stuff on that in that shop. Some of my higher end pieces are on that. I do sell Native American vintage jewelry, so y'all go check that out. And also links to War Woman goods on Etsy are on my website. So that's a great way to support my show or my shows. I have a bunch of shows and everything I'm doing. And also, I have a Patreon. If you guys are interested in following along and seeing all of my raw remote viewing data, I do have all of that on my Patreon, and it's all posted today. Patreon, it's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. And thank you to all my Patreon members. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so I think that takes care of all the business today that I can think of. So let's talk about our show tonight, okay? Because we've got a lot to unpack tonight. I hit 3 targets. Actually, it was two separate targets. I hit the first one twice, and got a whole lot of data out of this. And I'm not exactly sure what these things are. So Barry's going to come on and talk to us about them. But I'm going to give a brief overview on what the show will be about tonight before we get started. Okay, the Kappa. Okay, and when I hear Kappa, I think of like a fraternity or a sorority. Okay. I had a friend back in college named Kappa. Okay. But apparently there's Kappas in Japan. The Kappa is a creature said to inhabit ponds and rivers in Japan and appears to be both reptile and humanoid in appearance. According to legend, they are very cunning and like causing mischief and harm towards humans. They are generally known as a threat towards human, kidnapping children, drowning livestock, and assaulting women in the worst way. Some are less violent, doing practical jokes, being quite friendly. Teaching humans bone setting and how to make medicinal salves. They grow no larger than 5 feet tall. They have blue-green scaly skin, a beak, a tortoise shell on its back, shaggy hair, and a bowl cut. You know, the 1990s most popular haircut for kids. And speak human languages. Actually, they look like Friar Tuck, by the way. Okay, so they have a small indentation on the top of their heads. Okay, I know this sounds really weird. This is a really strange cryptid, y'all. Okay, they have like a dent on top of their heads, and it holds a pool of water called a sara. Okay, the water is thought to be the source of the Kappa's magical powers. They must keep their sara full whenever they venture onto land, or they forfeit all their strength and their magical powers. And if they lose the water out of there, they don't have their magical powers, they die. Okay, so these things are like supernatural in addition to being flesh and blood. Okay, the Nommo, okay, this is the second target. The Nommo are ancestral spirits of the Dogon religion and venerated by the Dogon people in Mali. Nomos means to make one drink. Nomos are described as amphibious, hermaphroditic, fish-like creatures. Depictions of the Nomos show creatures with humanoid upper torsos, legs or feet, and a fish-like lower torso and tail. They're also referred to as the masters of the water, the monitors, and the teachers. So what are these daggum things? Are they real? Are they just mythological creatures of legend and lore? Well, I was assigned both of these as remote viewing targets, blind targets, and I can tell you guys, I got incredible data on both. I believe that they're real. And to, well, I was going to say to help me with this tonight, I was going to bring up Barry. But Barry has just disappeared from backstage. So I'm going to not bring up Barry yet. Barry, wherever you are, please come back. I saw there were a couple of him down there. But anyways, yeah, so Barry tasked me with both of these targets. You know, when I get a target and I'm all over the place and I don't know, knowing Barry, I don't know if I'm going to get a statue, if I'm going to get a place, a cryptid, a far off planet, if I'm going to get something that is just totally out of this world. And so when I get a target and my data starts coming up like it did with these, especially this first one, which was the Kappa, I'm picking up things that are like amphibians, and I was getting amphibian and reptiles and primates and all this kind of stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And of course, in my mind, when I get done with that target, I'm completely off target. And I think that I did a horrible job. Okay. But thanks to Barry Littleton, he gives me these targets that, these cryptids, you know, we don't really know what these cryptids are. And, yeah, Barry was beamed up. Yes, he was just beamed up. And I hope he's coming back in just a minute. But if not, we're going to go on with the show because I've got all sorts of data here tonight. But when I get information that's like all these different types of animals, just like with the chupacabra, if you guys remember the chupacabra that I remote viewed, that was a blind target, and I was picking up mammal and reptile. I was picking up dinosaurs, and yeah, it was really, really crazy. But it turned out to be a chupacabra. Okay, and it was the ones from 1994 that escaped from a lab in Puerto Rico. Okay, so. Okay, while we're waiting for Barry, I'm going to try to catch up with some of these comments right quick, okay? Because I see so many of my friends in here. Shout out to all my moderators for being here tonight. You guys are the best. Yeah, I know a lot of people have never heard of these cryptids before. I was not familiar with the Nommo, actually, but when Barry put that on his Facebook page, they got the most that got the most attention, actually. So I think a lot of people are very aware of these Nommos, and I was more aligned with like the Kappa, okay, because I knew about that. So yes, the picture of this being is quite gross, and for everyone in the audience, if you guys would like to see it, I'll show you some pictures. Okay. It has a beak, and someone on my social media today did point out that it looks like a teenage mutant ninja turtle. Okay. Oh, well, hey. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be funny. That thing was like right in my face. So this is more of a graphic than a picture. So let me pull up another one. Sorry. That was really funny. Okay, this is the picture that I put on social media today. Yeah, that looks rough, right? Wow. It's a little scary. Okay, and it looks like a gnome or a troll or something with it eats humans. Okay, they're known to eat people, to kidnap children, and to do the worst. Okay, to women as well. So it is really creepy. Historically, they look like a dragon, kind of like an amphibious type of a dragon. Let's see. Here's a funny picture right here too. Okay, this is perfect. This is Barry's. Y'all, I have no idea where Barry went. So we're just gonna go through all these. Now, when I say they have a Friar Tuck haircut, they look like Friar Tuck. Okay, 100%. With the bowl cut, I think my brother had that haircut in junior high and in elementary school, and yeah, and they keep a it's like a bowl, like they literally have a bowl cut with a bowl on top of their head that they keep water in. Okay, so if that ain't the stuff of nightmares, I don't know what is. And so, with that, help me welcome to the show my friend, amazing paranormal researcher, and just awesome dude extraordinaire. Awesome dude extraordinaire. That's funny. Barry Littleton. Y'all, Barry's here.
Greetings, my friend. So I got to tell you, you didn't just get my message, okay? Apparently,
No, I didn't.
You're just bringing me up, right?
Yes.
Everything I have here went down. My internet went down. I could not get back on, and I couldn't even get my phone on. It was all messed up since I just saw you. That all that happened.
Yeah.
So I literally just got this going about 3 seconds ago, and you're saying here you're pulling me up. So that's blessings. Anyway, I'm sorry. Good to see you.
It's okay. It's good to see you. It happens. I was just showing the audience all the really wacky pictures of this Kappa that we're going to be talking about tonight, because I didn't know the first thing about Kappas, Barry, and we've got this creature that looks like a bird, but it also looks like a dragon or reptile and a tortoise shell on it. So, and somebody on my social media today brought up the fact that it looked like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and potentially maybe they based those characters off of a Kappa.
Some of the illustrations, if you see others, though, it looks much more fish or amphibious like.
Okay.
To a point of, and I'll tell you, I'll just bring this up right out of the bat, okay? And hello to the audience again if I didn't say anything, sorry. But I wanted, one of the reasons I chose this target is because I've heard about the Kappa for, decades now. But that guy, Jeremy Wade, the river monster hunter guy, like
river
that Kappa.
monsters, yeah, like him.
Yeah. He went to Japan and looked for the Kappa, and what he wound up finding, discovering, he thought it was the Japanese giant salamander, and he went there and caught one of those things, and it was huge. And he was saying how they come up, how he thought that was mistaken for the Kappa pulling children down, and the Kappa's known to steal children quite a bit. Yes. So pulling them down, and he thought that was what it was. So I knew when the target, although it was blind, if it was just a normal misclassified animal, you would pick up on that. Or if it was really a cryptid. I thought it was truly a cryptid. Yes. It was a real creature. So it was interesting to see that, and to see that data actually play that out, especially when you don't know what you're seeing. You really nailed this one. I mean, you got it quick and good. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I was telling the audience that a lot of times when I'm getting these targets from you or from anybody, I get any target and it's all over the board, like amphibian, reptile, and a mammal and all this other stuff. It's like all combined. I just feel like I'm totally off target because this just doesn't make any sense. And of course, it's not my job to rationalize any of this. I'm just a channel for the information is basically what I'm doing. I'm receiving it and I'm writing it down. And so when I'm done with these things, I think, golly, this can't be right. Like, what did I just look at? And it's every time I'm on target with these cryptids. So that tells me a lot about a lot of these cryptids, these unclassified animals, these beings that we have on our Earth at this moment, which they're nothing. They're nothing like any kind of regular animal because they're a combination of all the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Really odd,
and the Kappa has been seen for a very long time. It's not a new cryptid,
Yes.
And Anyway, it's very interesting, and that amount, and now it becomes a amount of kind of deciphering which one of these cryptids are somewhat natural, or how many are actually imprinted up on the Earth that once existed and they still manifest because Earth carries their imprint, and then how many of these are actually government, dark lab, underground, dark lab done. I can say that, but that we know now through the work you and I have done together, amongst other things, that these dark labs go down, go back, thousands of years, million years they've been doing this genetic splicing and stuff there. That's the one. Most time when I came across the Kappa, it was similar to that. And there's a statue that looks quite similar to that too. And that's where it's got, a type of almost, I can see how salamander can come in there, but that's not what this thing is. That's not what, so Jeremy Wade was wrong. Your data shows that. Although the giant salamander exists, but that's not what the Kappa is. There may have been some mistaken, but there's something else they're seeing.
And okay, so I noticed something interesting on these statues. They have human anatomy, okay, with their mammary glands and private parts and stuff. They look like they are humanoid too. I don't think frogs have breasts. Last I checked, or whatever these things are. I'm not calling them frogs, but they're something. Okay, so they have human characteristics as though they're humanoids. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
You know, yeah, so we just touch on this now. You know, the
sure.
fact that in your data you picked up extraterrestrial,
Mhm.
I found that fascinating. And I was always going to give you the target of the Nommo separately, okay?
Okay.
But the fact that you brought that up, that you thought that there was extraterrestrial origin of this creature, that you were nailing almost to being an amphibian, you were doing pretty good,
Yeah.
you know. But that made me connected with the Nommo. And for those who aren't familiar, really, what the Dogon said, and I think the Dogon, and the elder had told, what is it, Templeton, that wrote the Sirius Mystery. It's in there. They all said, the elder said that when the Nommo came to Earth, when they came through the atmosphere, they immediately went down into the ocean, into the lake, and went down, and then they emerged later. And I've heard several different descriptions of the Nommo. All right, but the ones that go back, I, like most people, you know, I'm amazed, since interacting with the Bigfoot community, how many people had the same experience as me. Their first introduction to Bigfoot was Leonard Nimoy on In Search Of.
Yeah, right.
Around 78, 79, I saw that. It was the first time I ever had seen or heard anything about Bigfoot. And that's how many people bring that up. But on In Search Of, they also had an episode about the Dogon. And they
Yeah.
had
Okay.
actually, and I've mentioned before on your show, I think, that the elder that can't be touched, like for half of his life, he can't be touched, or he has to be put to death if anyone touches him. Oh,
Ooh,
that's rough. But he on this
a
rock,
little
he's
bad.
swinging this thing called the bull roar, and it's like a beetle that they have on this rope chain thing, and they swing it and they woo 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 woo, and that is the sound of the ships. The ones I'd heard as a kid and in my adult years,
Oh
it's
wow.
a sound. So I became very interested in the Dogon for that reason too. Now, point being, they have on the top of their village, they have these little holes up there in the mesa or whatever, and
Okay.
the elder was saying that that is for the blue beings, the Nommo, that come back sometimes, and they stay up there when they're not in the lake. They stay up there in those holes, and he described them as
Oh,
being little blue beings. Yeah, and I've
blue
heard others that
beings.
describe them as being blue amphibians, amphibious type of beings, and I've seen several different caricatures of them. But the one that I tagged you on Facebook, that was a doggone sculpture of them. So that's
Oh
what they.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
So they're almost like mer. You said mer people, like mermaids, mermen.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that maybe they don't look quite like what we would think, though, like the Gill Man or somebody from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You know, so I think maybe
Yeah.
it's a little different. They might be more blue. Whether they look like the blue Andromedans I encountered, I don't know. You know what I mean? But people can look it up and look for themselves. And when it takes us into dealing with mer species, an extraterrestrial mer species, and it gets murky because, you know, sadly we had that thing came out, what, about maybe 5, 6 years ago, that was called it was on the Animal Planet, about mermaids. And it turns out it was a bunch of actors and it was all fake and
Yeah.
stuff.
It was
You know
fake.
what I mean? But they had a
Super
couple of
fake.
footage on that. The footage of one that, to my knowledge, was real, which is that net. There, it looks like it's the Baltic Sea or something. The things going over, that hand comes out the net, and the net falls off
Yes.
into the water. I think that was real.
Yeah.
Yeah, the webcam. I think that was real. And the reports of there being spears and things found in some fishing nets going way back to almost colonial times has been reported. So we're dealing with something there, you know. And when dealing with the different
Yeah.
types of extraterrestrial aquatic species, it's just fun and interesting, I think, because we know less about our oceans than we almost
It
do
is.
about space.
Yeah. Unless you have a remote viewer, and then we can find these things out, right, Barry?
Right on. Right on.
I'm just kidding. Look, this is for entertainment purposes only. Like I always like to state, I don't want to get in no trouble with nobody. Okay, but I'm just saying, the data is pretty on target for what Barry was expecting, and like I said, this was a blind target. I had a set of coordinate numbers, and I did see someone in the chat. I'm trying to catch up in chat. I did see somebody ask like how if the coordinates are a geographical location. No. Usually they're just random numbers. It doesn't matter. They can be just random 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 3, 1 or something, like any numbers, as long as they're assigned to that target. And I'm able to hone in on whatever that target is. Okay. So they're random. And yeah, this is amazing because I know there's a lot of people super interested in mermaids. I've seen a lot of videos lately of there's a guy that has a boat, okay, who films he videos sounds like while he's out in the ocean late at night of what sounds like mermaids or sirens, whatever you call them, out there yelling at him and jumping out of the water and stuff. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of this lately, Barry.
That's your question. For a long time, did you think all mermaids looked like Daryl Hannah?
I thought they were hot. And the men were hot. They look like the dad, the hot looking dad from Little Mermaid with the Poseidon. You know what I mean? Yeah, but they're actually quite scary looking, I think.
Yeah, well, it takes us more into actually what would a being that was raised in another ocean, another environment actually look like. It's quite interesting, And
yeah, they're terrifying. It makes me not want to get in the ocean, especially not at night. I mean, no. Yeah, I think I may have some pictures. I'll pull some pictures up when we're talking about that, when I'm going over that data, because there are some scary looking mermen out there and women, and they got like sharp, crazy teeth and all that. What's up, Grumpy? Thank you for being here tonight. That's in my team right there, y'all. Okay, Grumpy's on my team. Okay, so why don't we just go ahead and get started in the data? Okay, that's the. I'm not gonna say it's the best part of our shows here because it's not. I mean, it's just data. Just us talking about it's the best part of the show, I think. But here's the data. Now, the interesting thing, Barry, is that as I'm reading about the Kappa or the Kappas, I'm seeing keywords that are on my paper, like bones, boneyard, how they help humans learn how to set bones and things like that. Like that always blows my mind when I'm seeing these things. I don't see any connection whatsoever. And then I start reading up on articles about them after you've told me what the target was. And I'm connecting all the dots because it was all in my data. Okay.
And you're saying setting bones is in medically,
bones,
right? Is it like
yes.
broken bones?
Yes.
A medical expertise, huh? Isn't that interesting? That is interesting.
And medicinal salves too. Like when I was a kid, what do we have? Watkins ointment, man. You could put some Watkins on anything. And you could put some Watkins on a broken bone, it'd heal it probably. I don't know. That was what my grandmother gave us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We put Watkins on everything. But it was a medicinal salve. And apparently that's what they part of what they taught humans. Okay. The ones who were indebted to humans. The humans that help fill their water buckets and their heads back up. I know that sounds weird, but yeah, they have like a little thing on their head where they keep water. Okay, so let's get into the data.
Well, that's interesting. The statue of the Kappa, and I should have sent you a picture of that. It looks like it's wearing a type of a crown or something like that.
Okay,
that's very interesting. It's a golden. It looks golden, platinum covered whatever statue of the Kappa, and it's got this, looks like a crown on it, and it looks somewhat more humanoid than the other representations.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I gotta take a commercial break. Wink at me. Thank you so much. She says Jessica did a reading for me and my sister. It was totally accurate. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I do psychic. I do card readings and stuff. And you can purchase those on my website if you guys want one. Thank you. Wink at me. That is so sweet. Yeah. So you guys, y'all get yours if you want it. They're on my website in the shop. Okay. And yeah, and I do incorporate remote viewing with all these readings. I mean, it's all I've been trained in this for a long time, and so it's easier for me to be accurate because of that training. Okay. So yeah,
But it makes
let's
it
go.
fun too. It makes it fun and
It
interesting,
does.
and the data puts another element to it. It being something that makes stop it from being what people call that now woo woo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like when I'm doing a reading for someone, like if there's something that I find in the reading that I want to look at more for them, I will remote view it. Okay. But I don't offer those services. Okay. But I will do it and I'll let them know. So I go far and beyond a lot of times with those. Um, so yeah, it's just because I feel called to do it. So, okay. And now I feel called to read this data. All right.
Right.
So I immediately was picking up on, okay, so the sensory data, I'm not, if you want to see all the data, it's on my Patreon. Okay. But I'll go over some of it. So I was like with the last time you and I did a target together, I was picking up like spinning and whirling around, something that was reckless. And I'm just gonna tell you like some of my analytic overlay. That's the AOL data, which is me trying to make sense of what I'm sensing. Okay, so I'm picking up on something that was camouflaged, a predator that is predatory, a recluse, so it's hiding, right? An amphibian,
Boom. Boom.
Right away, I got amphibian. I picked up on bones in a bone garden or a bone garden, a primate.
What do you mean? Hold on. Sorry. Bone garden. What do you mean?
I don't know. There's a restaurant in Atlanta called Bone Garden. I don't even know what that is. I guess like a graveyard. I don't know. Something where there's bones.
And
I don't know.
was it underwater?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I just picked up Bone Garden. I heard that and I wrote it down. Okay, so it's just something that I hear. I'll write it down. I was picking up on a primate. So I knew at that point. I mean, I wasn't paying attention because I was just letting the data flow. But when I went back and read it, I was like, ugh, amphibian and a primate together doesn't make sense. Picked up on primitive, not only primitive, but primitive living, primitive home, firmament. Okay, so firmament actually lines up with the other target because you on your video you said something about the firmament. Okay, but I also picked up on a cave system, as though whatever this is living in a cave system potentially.
Interesting.
I also I kept picking up on a triangular pattern, and that was over and over again. On both times I hit the target, my stage 3, which is my sketch, was a triangle of some sort. Okay, I thought I was dealing with Space Force. Actually, not gonna lie.
You know, that's what your image that you drawn looks like. It looks like a Star Trek symbol, which is actually what they say the Space Force symbol looks like, or Secret Space Program symbol looks like. That looks just like a Star Trek symbol. Yeah. That's from the original series.
Well, after
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Okay, well, I didn't know what it was, but after I saw what the target was, I thought maybe it was the beak on the animal, like whatever this is. Maybe it's the beak, and I kept picking up on that beak. But I don't know. I don't know, but I did draw that. Okay. And so then I did pick up on Space Force. Actually, I wrote that down. Okay. But I picked up on a military experiment. Okay. And high jump and high beam, high jump and high beam. Now, high jump, wasn't Project High Jump something out of Antarctica?
You got me on that. I'm not an expert on Antarctica.
Yeah.
You got me on that one.
And
somebody in the chat knows, I'm sure, though.
Yeah. Somebody does. But I was actually picking up on something that looked like it was flying or something, but I don't think this creature actually flies. I was also picking up that it was moving. It moves very slowly. Okay. Because you had me go back and look at it a second time. Okay. And so thank you, Wink at Me, again for that super chat. That's so sweet of you. Okay. So I went back in and looked at it one more time. And at this point, I started what I was seeing. I thought I was seeing the Loch Ness Monster. Okay. For a second, because I was coming up with information like dinosaur. Okay. Dinosaur, something out of the Paleo era, like what is it, Paleolithic or whatever? I don't even know what those words are. But I was picking up on something that was like a bird. I thought I was seeing a bird. Okay, so this is interesting, y'all. And y'all remember, I have a set of numbers. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm seeing a bird, but it looked like a dinosaur. And I was picking up on a dinosaur that had feathers. Okay, and it moved slowly. It was in the water, but it was also a reptile, and it had snake skin. Okay, so and then it was omnivorous, so it ate everything from plants and animals, and whatever it could get its hands on, it eats, and it lays eggs. Okay, and if you want to get this, okay, so that was my AOL. The sensory data, that was green, gray. I picked up something that was green and gray. It attacks. If something was attacking, it jumps. It's very slow, and I kept picking up on green. Like whatever this is green, like a greenish gray. Okay.
That's good. That's what's always reported as being greenish.
Really?
Everything I've seen, all the pictures too, it always has a greenish tinge to it, except for that statue. It's got a yellow tinge to the statue. But
okay, yeah. I mean, I was picking up what I thought was a bird, and also a reptile, and I was pretty set on. I was like, okay, well, but then I drew a picture that almost looked like a plesiosaurus or something, or whatever the Loch Ness monster might be. So I thought, well, perhaps potentially this is the Loch Ness monster. So what do you do, Barry? You always ask me what I think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that comment right there, I addressed that comment.
Yeah, I'm way behind.
Jeremy Wade had said that, and he caught the giant salamander, and that's why I gave you the target. He thought that's what that was, and that's not what it is. That's what your data is showing. So we kind of discussed that already. But yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. No, but when you looked at it, we said the second time it was, it was good. But the thing that kind of never phased out is the amphibian part of it.
That's right.
And then they took that on into what he started saying. Just keep going. I don't want to interrupt you, but the Space Force thing, you haven't got to that yet, have you?
Yeah, I did. I already went over this. The Space Force. I picked up the Space Force on the first time that I hit the target. So I picked up on Space Force, and I was feeling like it could be something that was like a extraterrestrial type being, but I was also picking up. I mean, the way that I was looking at it, it was something that was seeded here from another planet, is what I was feeling, right? But it was living in another cave. Okay, it was living in cave systems. It was also living in the water and caves. It had a connection to water and caves. But it was very primitive. It's been here for a very long time. And I was also picking up amphibian. So whatever it was, I knew it was swimming, but I was picking up on a bird as well. So like a bird reptilian. So like in my mind too, I was thinking like, because I told you velociraptor. Because I was thinking, well, okay, I don't think velociraptors swim though. So that's why I was so confused. But I was picking up on a dinosaur-like animal that could potentially have feathers because it had a beak. Okay, so I was confused, man. This was a confusing one.
Well, in all realistically, to me, these targets I give you, it's extremely unfair because it's blind. You have no idea what it is. It's just the system, and the data speaks for itself. But as far as fairness, it's completely unfair. You have no idea what you're looking at. But
but that's the whole point.
That part again, and I'll be honest, I was most interested in your data showing that what Jeremy Wade's saying was wrong, because I felt it was. And I like Jeremy Wade. I'm not slamming him at all. I watched all those things. He doesn't do that show anymore because he had cracked all the river monsters he was trying to find, with the exception of Nessie, I think. And I will stick behind that Nessie is the same that the Quinault tribe and other tribes call Kamos. And Kamos actually come up the river and follow the salmon. And they get in those nets and they eat the holes in those nets. And they can't catch these Kamos because their teeth are so sharp, they'll cut any line in any net really easy. So, yeah, and they're these, because it's interesting because people up there talk about it a lot around the Olympia Peninsula. and that whole area, they talk about these K-moss. And then when you have Loch Ness, I find it interesting that they're starting to have a lot more sightings of Nessie. If you get on YouTube right now, there's a lot of people that are starting to see Nessie again and trying to take phone shots with them. There's some young girl that took some pictures and a video of something in that lake that it's pretty interesting. You know, it leaves these things open. But point being, they built some sort of a dam a few years ago up there in Loch Ness around there. And they said that stopped these eels from being able to migrate in and out of there. And that's why Nessie hadn't been seen for a while. How accurate that is, I don't know.
Wow.
But when you start talking to somebody that's from around that area, you know, that actually lives there, and they'll tell you there's tons of sightings of something in that body of water that we never hear about over here, but it's quite common. So
Interesting.
I watched a guy disproving everything about Nessie and scientifically breaking it down, dismissing the whole thing. And at the very end of it, they say, "Do you think that there is a Loch Ness monster?" And all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, there's something because I've seen something." But he spent the whole time.
It's like, I renege. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably something. I know people are so sure of themselves until they run into something that's not supposed to exist. Okay, so, and Sovereign Cosmic Wildman, that's a great statement because I read that earlier. In Japan, they at least have the consideration to warn the public about them. And to actually put up signs on lakes about these monsters. That's right. I read that.
That's a good point. That's a good statement. Good statement.
Yeah.
You know,
they actually warn them, unlike our government.
You know, honestly, and something that did catch me off guard a little bit and surprised me when I was just wanting to see your data really prove that it was actually a creature as opposed to just a giant salamander. But I wasn't expecting the extraterrestrial factor to come in at all. And that's what made me hasten give you the Dogon coordinates or numbers. You didn't know what that was either. So we can get even more into that later. But that shows the fact that they came from space too. And it's one of just the several types of supposed mer people that come here that are space being or extraterrestrial. I just wanted to see if there's a connection there with those, and you picked up on that. So it's just very interesting, you know.
I did. I mean, I picked up on a lot of really interesting little tidbits of information about these things, but it all aligns with what people write about and the legends that have been passed down about these things. And now, Barry, are these things still seen? They're still seen to this day in Japan, aren't they?
That's what I hear. Yeah. I don't know if it's as common as it was back in earlier times, but I still hear about it. Yeah, enough to where Jeremy Wade went over there a few years ago and tried to crack the code.
Yeah, well, that's a brave man. Guy, the river monster guy, that's a brave man. I wouldn't mind having him on my show one day because he's got a lot of, I mean, not that he deals with cryptids, but
kinda. I mean, he looked into it. I didn't see anybody else looking into any of that stuff. You know, to the mer people, and he tried to look into all that stuff. I think it's pretty cool. And the fact he's out there fishing actually and catching stuff. Hey, heads up! Some of those things he caught, like some of those. Not tiger gar, something else with the teeth. That thing looked
alligator
hideous.
Gar. They're alligator gar.
Yeah, I was like, man, I wouldn't want to swim up there with one of those, man.
We have those around here down in the South, actually.
He jumped in there, swim with some piranhas, want to prove the piranha only attack under certain situations. He's there swimming with all those piranhas, Amazon piranha. He's out of his mind. There's no way I would have done that.
Zach, I like Zach's comment. That's funny because it's really not funny because atrazine is real. Okay. And if you guys don't know what atrazine is, that's put in our water supplies, y'all go check out AJ that he's talking about right here. That's the dude right there. He knows what's up with the frogs. Okay. The frogmen. That's a funny statement right there, actually. So thank you. My chat keeps me laughing. It's hard to keep a straight face sometimes in here because you guys have the best comments, man. I love it. Okay. So we've established these things are real, Barry. These are real. The government actually, if they're putting up signs to warn people at lakes, like not to get too close, I mean, they are assaulting women and eating children. Oh, I actually have some pictures. Hold on, of these things, like paintings and stuff that I found. And I'm not, they're not like super bad. I hope I uploaded it. Here's one. Here's the Kappa. Here's the Kappa in its truest form right here. They appear to be eating a human. Okay. And there's several of them. So I guess they run in packs. I mean, do you know, Barry? Because I didn't pick up on that with my data.
Most of the ones I had heard, it was just individual that they pulled children under, to the point of even where Jeremy was saying the way salamanders come up out of the mud is how he thought the way they were described as that. But seeing that is a step away from saying that your child disappeared in the water, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's both bad, terrible. It's horrible, very bad.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't read anything positive about the Kappa, really. You know, not that it's helping or anything. You saying that they helped with salve is the most positive thing I've heard about them, to be honest.
Yeah, medicinal salve like Watkins ointment that I had when I was a kid. Yeah, and this is allegedly some body parts from one of them. I don't know. This is just a picture that I found online, and they say it's I guess that's a foot and a hand potentially. I don't know, Barry. Are you familiar with that?
No. And for me, you know, I like science. I need to see some genetic testing. That for me does nothing.
Exactly.
I want to see some genetic testing. Show me what it is with the DNA. Let's see.
Of course, I think that you can buy this on a Halloween website. If you guys want to dress up like a Kappa, I think you can find this at Spirit Halloween potentially. I don't know where this came from. This is a funny picture, but people even dress up like these things.
Interesting frog feet there.
3-toed, baby. Yeah, those 3-toed tracks we find out in the field. What if we have Kappas in Georgia? I don't know. We find 3-toed tracks. My buddy Grumpy Bob, who's in the chat right now, he's found 3-toed tracks before out in the field. So I don't think we have Kappas up here, but who knows?
What does he think they are?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, it could be a 3-toed Bigfoot. It could be pretty much anything, a reptilian. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Bob could tell us in the chat. Bob, if you're still in here, you let us know exactly what you think that could be. Uh-oh, I forgot to take that picture down. So yeah, what is that? Coconuts on its side? I'm not sure what it's got. It looks kind of creepy though. That would be my last choice for a costume for Halloween, I think. But I would go for Bigfoot first, and then maybe that one. But yeah, okay. So that's that. That's the Kappa. All right. Shall we move on? Because I just wanted to touch on this other target that I did, the Nommo, because I just got a little bit of information on this one, and I didn't get nearly as much data on this one as I did the others. But I still got some interesting data, Barry, if you're interested to hear that.
Absolutely. Let's go. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I picked up immediately on something that was in the water. Okay. I was picking up on something in the water. I picked up on bubbles. I was seeing bubbles all around me, like water and bubbles. And I heard Land Before Time, which is like a dinosaur movie. Okay. And then I heard A Tale as Old as Time, which I think that's Beauty and the Beast. Okay. But I heard A Tale as Old as Time. So I'm assuming that's something that's very old. Okay. Something that's been here for a long time. Land Before Time. I picked up on a beast, something that was cold-blooded, something that cold water, so like lives in cold waters. Aerodynamic. Okay, aerodynamic. And I heard seeded here. It's something that was seeded here from off planet. And something that I don't know if I think that it's tracked. Okay, whatever this was, I felt like somebody watches these things and it's tracked. I heard tracker. So like to me, it sounded like somebody was watching these things. I also heard Venusian, like from Venus. Okay, now I'm not sure if that's even possible, but I heard Venusian when I was remote viewing this. I also, for my sensory data, that was all my AOL, which is like, you don't even have to, AOL is like not the most important part of remote viewing, by the way. The most important part is the sensory data. And so for this, I got stuff like bubbling, the effervescent. I picked up on something that was greenish. Okay, I was seeing something that was greenish, cold, and tempting, almost like you hear about mermaids, like sirens being like calling people to them to like tempt them into the water to kill them or hurt them. So I was picking up on stuff like that. But I also got something that was hidden, like they don't like to be seen. And so it was something that you're not going to see, but it's some sort of a beast that's very old. It's pretty ancient, but it was seeded here from another planet. And it was in the cold water. It lives in the cold waters. Okay.
See, you know what you're describing, right? You're describing an organic craft, a craft that comes from the sea. Yes, an organic craft that they're using that is probably somewhat similar to them. Okay, and you know, it's interesting that so much of what she said is right on target in terms of the Dogon themselves had those cave paintings of Sirius. They said the Nommo came from the Sirius, and that they had Sirius A and Sirius B. And our science didn't discover Sirius B until what, like the 80s? And they already knew about this. And they said that the Nommo come from Sirius B.
Really?
Yeah. So when you talk about tracking, that type of things that's already on the walls of the cave, and the Dogon have. So, and just concerning Venetians, all right, I find that very interesting because that takes us into George. Oh Lord, don't let me say his last name wrong. People get all mad. I'm not German, all right. Adminsky, Adamski, however you say it, all right. People get all mad, twisted.
Don't get mad. Nobody get mad.
Oh, brother, man, I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway,
hey, I'm from the South. I can't pronounce anything hardly, so it's okay.
Cobb County, right? Anyway, don't get me started on that. I tell everybody that story, Jessica. I love it. Anyway, boss man. Anyway,
I was friends with the big boss man. Everybody, okay, I knew him as a kid. We played GI Joes together. All right,
he's the wrestler, the big boss man.
He was friends with my uncle.
Hard times.
Yeah.
I said, he really did work at the prison. I said, you're kidding me, right? He said, no.
I can't believe it. That's how you that's how you think of me. Like that's how you're like Jessica and the big boss man. Like that's really cool. Actually, I love it. So
well, every time you would say Cobb County, I just start giggling. You said, why do you keep laughing when I say that? So I told you.
Anyways, let's get back to the Venusians. Okay.
Yeah.
And Sovereign Cosmic Wildman. Let me just read his comment real quick. It says that's accurate. Venus are the Anunnaki reptilians' home. That's their home, the Venusians. So that's interesting.
Okay, George Adamski says differently.
Okay.
He describes the type of Nordic that lives there. Okay, and that's the dominant people there. And I took an interest in that because the ships that Adamski showed, the bottom of them, I've seen ships that have something similar on the bottom. And more than that, he describes these Venusians as wearing these blue suits. He's got illustrations of it, these blue suits. And, you know, the temporal commission beings I interacted with, they had on blue suits, not exactly the same, but somewhat similar. And that's the only time I can say, you know, I've dealt with some type of Nordic extraterrestrial or people from the future, or whatever they are. But so in that way, I just find it very interesting, and always had interesting in George's accounts. But he talked about Venus a lot. And technically, if you want to look at that, whatever it is on Venus is going to be underground. You know, when people are asked what is the hottest planet in our solar system, everyone always say Mars or Mercury, because Mercury is the closest. It's not. Venus is the hottest planet in this solar system.
Ooh,
so it's not very habitable.
Guess who else is from Venus? Tesla. Okay. There were some CIA documents. There was a document that was declassified. I haven't read it personally. Maybe I did read it. Actually, I did see it. I saw it online. Okay. And Nikola Tesla, according to the CIA declassified document, was a Venusian from Venus. Just a little tidbit of info. I don't think it has anything to do with this, but it's just a little tidbit. Something to think about. Hey, women are from Venus, men are from Mars, right? Just kidding.
Well, I'm telling you, women are hot, burning up.
I'm hot right now. I'm having hot flashes.
Apparently, yeah, in the mud out there. That's yeah. You know, I thought I had heard something about Tesla supposedly being connected to Saturn too, and I hear so much stuff that goes so far sometimes. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep track of it all. You know, what's actually reality and what isn't. That's why I like doing the show with you. Yeah. It brings a fact of the data and everything brings certain reality to what we hear or disproves it. you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't argue with the data because it's coming from blind targets where I'm just getting numbers, and I have no idea what these things are. So like I told you the other day, I think it was last night. I was like, Barry, this is like a fun game for us. Like, I have so much fun doing these things. You don't ever tell me the target until you feel like I've gotten enough data from them, and then you post it on your Facebook page, and I have a big reveal, and I'm always shocked. I'm always shocked because I have no idea what I remote viewed. I even said on my afternoon show yesterday, I told the audience, I said, I'm doing a remote viewing show tomorrow night. I remote viewed something and I have no clue what this is. I think it's a cryptid, but we're going to let you know tomorrow, you know.
Saying also, you saying that they're being monitored, meaning the Nommo. Now, here's something I want to put everybody hip to, all right? It was said that the Nommo would return. Templeton wrote that in his book, all right, that the Nommo would return. And I did a video on my YouTube channel several years ago, and it was over the gentleman named Louis A. Franks. He wrote a book about what he called cosmic snowballs that he thought came in here and actually hit and actually caused amino acids and things to form here and that created life, all right? But interestingly enough, there was something that when dealing with that cosmic snowball type of thing, that theory, and these aquatics too, you know, there's something that was called the NASA tether incident that happened in, what was that, 80 something, I think it was, which is where there's, or 90s maybe, it was the tether, the NASA, the pole for was one of the stations or something was out there, and you see all these all these balls around it, bumping into it, going all around it, and they look very much like microorganisms to a degree. All right. And what that would be was that the Nommo and these plasma balls, these cosmic balls, the ships themselves coming down, went down into the ocean that the Dogon are talking about. Are those beings we're seeing around the tether incident? Or are they just what are called critters, which are like a type of single cell organism that eats on orgone and DOR, deadly orgone radiation? Is that what those were? But they don't look like it to me. They look very much like swarming life forms. And is that the Nommo we're dealing with in their ships? Is that what you're seeing there? It's food for thought.
That was part of my data. Swirling, whirling, things like that. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, Tyler's in the chat. Tyler from Journey to Truth podcast. Thank you for being here, Tyler. Okay, so and he says that there's a 3-toed petroglyph in Chaco Canyon that he just took a picture of. That's interesting.
Hey, Tyler, what do you think it is? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I'll check the chat to find out what he thinks it is. I mean, it could be reptilian of some sort. A lot of they say reptilians, and I've done a lot of shows and research and remote viewing on reptilians.
You know,
there's the caves.
There's also, like the woman in white that has showed up a lot, all the way to that spear finger witch. They're all said to have 3 toes also. Some of even the giants are said to be 3-toed.
Right.
Very interesting, isn't it? I don't know where that begins and ends. Yeah.
It is. Okay, I have to make one quick commercial break. Tyler and Aaron have an amazing show coming up in just a few minutes over on their channel, Journey to Truth podcast. They are interviewing a woman who is talking about the national park systems, okay, and the missing people and the portals and the cryptids and God knows what's taking everybody, the stuff that I talk about, and I may or may not be on Journey to Truth next week myself. Okay, so you guys go check that out tonight, right after the show. You guys go tune in to Journey to Truth podcast. Okay,
they're really, really cool cats. They do a good job of bringing everything and bringing the community together. I think different sects. That conference that we went to was just wonderful. That's a great conference. It was well organized. It was well structured. It was very, very cool. Good people in there. It was fun. It was fun.
Yes. So absolutely. I'm trying to catch up all the comments. I'm always 10 minutes behind. I just want to warn everybody in my chat. I'm always 10 minutes behind.
I'd be interested if Roger has any like links or anything. I'd like to know more about that. I've heard a little bit about it too, but I can't ever find out much about it. What is the difference? Is that just maybe a genetic mutation? Or is it a standard deal, or you know what I mean? Is that just different species? Is that the little hairy ones, the Ewok?
No, they're the big ones. No, because we see big. They're the big 3-toed tracks, and stuff. And so we don't know what they are. Okay. It could be anything. It could literally be anything. I seem to think that there could be a lot of reptilians running around. At this point, we just don't know.
I had the slee stack. Yeah, I remember them, man. I like that show as a kid. You know,
That's
something I
Harold.
had
Hey,
heard when
Harold.
I was listening to these speleologists talking. It's been years ago that wrote
Good
that
point, Bob.
speleologist journal. There are people in there, active in there.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember. There's this lady in the sky. I can't remember her name now, but she had talked about some of these. They go down in these cave systems and how deep they go, and how there's these different caverns, these waterfalls down there. Just how incredible it was. But she talked about these like delta beaches that will be like way down there, you know, and how on one of these beaches they had it had the water there had the luminous fish in there, like the glowing fish.
Uh-huh.
And coming from that
Oh
beach, there was
yeah.
like these like 3-toe tracks. She said there were lizard tracks, and they went way back into the cave. They couldn't find anything. There was something back there, and they were bipedal, is what she had said. And I found that fascinating because, you know, most lizards don't go that deep cave wise. And it's it's very
Just
interesting. And
regular
whatever it is,
lizards.
bipedal. And I was with it. I was wondering, like, is like only lizard I know that walks on 2 feet was it? I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's called the Jesus lizard. It jumps up and
The Jesus
it runs
one
and
runs on water.
yeah, the Jesus lizard. Yeah. So, you know, just fascinating when dealing with stuff like that. And we don't hear what the speleologists talk about. You know, we know what spelunking is, but speleologist is different. And you even got astrospeleologists studying that stuff and connecting what you have in the great vents here, the hot vents in like the trenches, and the organisms you have that are actually living in that almost inhospitable vent, and how they're similar to like organisms that might be existing on Europa and places like
Oh
that.
wow.
Astrospeleologists deal with that. Yeah. So, you know, we never
Speleologists.
hear about it. Anyway,
What
sorry,
is
I'm
a
getting
speleologist? That's somebody who deals with caves, because a speleological society is people that deal with caves. So a speleologist would be a
speleologist.
caver, like a cave
Mhm.
specialist.
Yes, deep diving cave.
Wow.
You know, and the people getting mad because she said, I'm sorry, I've been all under Mount Shasta and there's nothing under there. And people were saying, oh, it's because it's multidimensional. You know, people getting all mad. But she said the main thing I wanted to go down there is find a city or anything that could prove that. It would make my life. But she's saying there's nothing like that under there. It's beautiful and it's deep, but it's not any city under there. So, you know, I don't know. I think personally there's a device in there, like at Mount Adams, that is energizing people, that's doing something. You know, it's old technology. I don't
the
really
OR
doubt it.
device. Okay.
Something's going on there because I hear too much about Mount Shasta. Something's got to be going on.
In regards to the 3-toe tracks, Bob Wilson, my on my team, he says without DNA, who knows what it is? We don't know, because we didn't see any. He didn't see an animal make it or a being, so it's without DNA. Who knows?
So
and
don't even have speculation. That's what that means. You don't have speculation.
Well, it could be anything. I mean, sometimes we talk about 3-toe Bigfoots, you know, and things like that, but I don't know. We don't know. There's so much weird stuff. And yes, Brian, Montauk is Strange, Big Boss Man, and Daniel Dumont. Yes, I know a lot of. I've grown up with a lot of really cool people. Daniel Dumont, that's MF Doom. Okay, I was friends with him. Okay, a lot of people.
That's a cool statement there. That tripped out too. Why do you keep laughing at that, Barry?
A lot of people. Yeah. I know.
So
I've
cool.
had an interesting life.
If
y'all can't tell, I've had a very interesting life with a lot of interesting people. I've been very blessed. Okay. But okay. So yeah, Tesla did say he was from Venus, right? I do believe that was in a declassified document with the CIA. Okay. Or it was some declassified government document. So I'm not just making that up. That came from somewhere. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to catch up with the comments before we go tonight, because there's so many great ones. Oh my gosh.
He's right. It's pretty close to the moon. I think it's close to the moon the other night too, wasn't it? It was bright.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Okay. Well, yeah, this is pretty cool, Barry. So we have made a connection between the Japanese Kappa and the Nommo that are associated with the Dogon tribe. Okay. Aquatic, reptile, mer people, basically. Okay. But yeah, these are some of the most wacky, like wild cryptids I've ever heard of. Not the mer people potentially, but this Kappa is one of the most wacky things. Let's talk about that thing on its head real quick. Are you familiar with the indition in its head and the water that it has to keep inside the bowl in its head?
Not exactly. No, I've just seen some representations of it, but it was on the statues I saw. That's the only place I saw that really was a statue. Sometimes they have it looking like hair almost or something like
Looks
that.
like Friar Tuck. Oh, Ron
Yeah.
Murphy's in the chat. Hey, Ron. What's up?
You know,
Thank you for being here.
I think, you know, the dealing with the several different types of mer species I've heard about, you know, whether it be they be serpent-like, almost dragon-like, you hear of some like that. You know, you hear others that are like almost just the webbed hands and looking almost like a type of a gray. And you have others that look like the gill man from the creature of the Black Lagoon, rather. The gill man. Was on the Munsters. I think they called him Uncle something when he showed up on the Munsters. The gill man.
I don't remember.
Walking around in a suit. Anyway, sorry.
Oh my gosh. That is
I'm serious
funny.
about that. He's on the Munsters.
Yeah, I watched the Munsters when I was a kid, for sure. Chat lag. Yes.
You know, something about that. Actually, if you really want to take, what I take is like, when I read something about the Uranta book, which is very thick, and what the Uranta book says about Adam and Eve, it's very specific. It calls them biological uplifters that are technically material son and daughter that come from one of the planets that are near galactic center. Okay. And that they go to each inhabited world and they do a biological lifting. And that's what Adam and Eve were. But then it describes them having to go through a type of training to take over wardship of the take over each planet they go to. And then, you know, when you go back and you look, are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at Brown Dwarf. I'm sorry.
Oh.
These comments, I'm not laughing at you. He said you best there's a city of hippies under Mount Shasta. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh.
I wouldn't doubt that either.
Y'all have to stop making me laugh, okay? Please. It's too funny. I have not been to Shasta yet. So go ahead, Barry. I'm sorry.
I lost track of what I was saying now. It was yeah. Do you remember?
I don't. I got thrown off too. So sorry. But yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Oh my God. And I snorted right live on air. Thanks, y'all. Just kidding. It's my fault.
I think it was really important, whatever it was. I'm sorry I lost that thought though. It was serious.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry too.
Sorry.
I did not
That's
mean
all
to
right.
laugh.
It's all in good fun. It's all right.
It's okay. Listen, if we're not laughing, we're crying. Okay. Because these things are out of this world, so strange. And it's good for us to know about these things. I mean, part of what I like to do here at the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube and wherever you guys are watching me, you're listening to me, is to warn everybody about the dangers of some of these cryptids. The local legends and lore. Okay, these are not always mythological creatures. These have some basis in reality. And if you're hearing about some creature that kidnaps children and drowns livestock, okay, you better believe that there's got to be a little truth in some of that. Okay, and it may not be here today, but it was here at some point. And so just take heed. Okay, and that's really what I like to do here. And yes, I did not know what this target was. So Barry, thank you so much for giving me such a wonderful set of targets. And for us to be able to actually prove that these things are potentially real.
Yeah, and you know how many of them, you know, and for all we know, you know, the real laboratories that have already been going on for way back, they're just being continued on now by the black science and governments of this planet. That's all. It's the same thing just going on and being continued. Now I remember what I was talking about real quick. Adam and Eve from the Uranta book. It was a response to one of the comments, and it was pretty serious. Okay, so Adam and Eve, what they described of them going through this training and stuff. Okay, and then when you go and you look at actually those Sumerian tablets and look at what people call, mainly Zechariah Ascension is really did all that. Inky and his wife and everything Look at that. What you're seeing there, and I've done a video over this, you're actually seeing him and his wife, the material son and daughter, these Adam and Eve, going through a type of a training for this planet right there. And then also you see around Inky are these like waterfalls and all these fish coming out of this waterfall. That's not fish. It's supposed to be sperm. It's showing he's the god, this biological uplifter I've been talking about. And more than that, that Uranta book says that after they supposedly Adam and Eve fell during the rebellion here, and when they fell, that actually their germplasm started turning more mortal, and that Adam was brought all these different women. They give a number of women brought to him that for him to try to reproduce with and carry on their germplasm. All right. Now, when you look at those Sumerian texts also, and I've got all this on my channel, I've got a video over this. All right. And it's check out the book reviews playlist and what the one over the Uranta and shit, but serious stuff. Anyway, so sorry. So but you see there on there, there's actually Inky of this individual who is apparently some type of a giant holding a woman in his hand. Okay. And then behind them is another giant bent down on these test tubes, touching stuff. And they're like these test tubes he's sitting behind. That is exactly what they say in that Uranta book. So what I'm telling you, when the Uranta book says Adam and Eve, they're talking about Inky. I can't remember his wife's name. That's who they're talking about. And this material sons and daughter, it's almost exactly what that book says is represented on the Sumerian text. Very interesting.
Whoa.
So please check out those videos. Go to my channel, playlist, book reviews, and you'll see it on there. It talks about Inky, Adam and Eve, all that. I go into it. But I think it's something to really think about. When they talk about in that book, even things like who created Göbekli Tepe, when that happened, what germplasm was that? Who was that? Were they Nephilium type? They go into that very specifically in that book. And I always kind of slam that book because when it comes to the racial part, it's so skewed and incorrect that it's made for people like me to not read it. And get discouraged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to throw it away, that's trash. You know what I mean? But the rest of that book is valid parts of it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry I went on too long about that. But that's just a response to that really cool comment that somebody made about that. They were on target, I thought. So.
And we had a lot of people, including Amy. Amy, thank you for that super chat. She said Barry was talking about Adam and Eve. A lot of people were there to let us know what you were talking about. So I was just
what's up, Amy? Hope you're feeling better too, Amy.
Oh yeah, thank you, Amy. Thank you to everybody in the chat for looking out for us because I got thrown off a little bit. That was funny. But yeah, super interesting tonight. Super interesting show. We also were able to, and like I like to say with a lot of these remote viewing shows, we like to be able to put the information out there, and then we can kind of tell people how to protect themselves or just what to look out for. Okay.
Hey, Donna Spencer, what's up? Hey, did you send me a friend request? And is that really you? If that's really you, send me a message. I'll accept it. I get trolled a lot. I don't know who's real anymore, but I got a request from Donna Spencer, but I can't see anything on there. If that's you, I'll accept it though. If that's really you.
Okay. Yes.
I'm Mr. Paranoia.
I know. These days you never know.
I did a show about directed energy weapons and targeted people, and I was like, I've been a little nervous since that. I didn't get the retaliation I thought I would get from it, but I know the information is valid, and I only want to stick my hand in the bear trap so many times.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't stick your hand in the bear trap. The bear traps come to find me. No, I don't willingly step in bear trap. Well, I guess I do, but yeah, I got bear traps snapping at me all day, every day, from every direction. It's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to fight off the bear traps. So apparently, I didn't know that was my mission, but apparently it is because I have a lot of rabid bears around me and a lot of traps too. That doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you're doing really good work.
Trying to set up traps for me, actually.
You're doing really good work, and your work is starting to expand, and you're probably catching, backlash from it and crap. That happened to me too. You know, then suddenly they just banned me all the way around to where my voice is like hardly heard. I've done hundreds of interviews now, over 100 and some interviews. I've done like hundreds of videos, and like 15. This will be my 15th conference, and it's like most people don't even know who I am. That's all right. It's not for the fame or for definitely not no money in it. But this whole thing about the earth and consciousness going up and saving the earth and humanity, it's real. It's not a joke. And we're running out of time. You know, we can worry about fame and famous and money later, but right now we really need to save this place. Especially if I was like you and I had reproduced and I have a child on this planet, I would definitely be really worried. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know,
sorry, I don't mean to be a downer.
I think that's partly why I do what I do, because I just want to protect the children. I want to protect families. I want to protect as many people as I can, and encourage people to keep going and to not give up. And we got some crazy crap that we're up against, and things to look out for. But hey, the first step is knowing what we're up against. Okay, and we're all in it together too.
Demons.
Yeah, demons, absolutely. But, it's important for us to build a community, though, and to have our community and to have our friends and people that we can rely on and shows that we can go to where we have real information coming out and you know, real people, real stories, real authenticity, and people who truly care about this kind of stuff and truly care about humanity. Because there's not all these channels and people that are putting information out. They're not everybody's for humanity. I'm not trying I'm not throwing shade on anybody. I'm just saying.
You know, I'm gonna touch on something real quick. All right. I've said this before. I really enjoy working with you. I think you've got the right reason. You've got a good heart. All right. And I've had some bad encounters. I've worked with people in the past. If you go look at my channel, there's a lot of them on there, a few of them on there. And these people were I'm sorry, they were not good people. And they've got these huge followings, and you'll see I don't associate with them at all anymore. You know, one of them is individual telling people not to go in the light when they die. And I didn't realize that was one person saying that and spreading that. I didn't know it was them, you know, but when I did a video against that, and I lied 3 criterion for anyone that says that. Number 1 is, are they a medium themselves? Every medium is a psychic, but every psychic is not a medium. They're different gifts. So are they a medium? Number 2, have they had a near-death experience? Have they died in this body and come back? Okay. Number 3, have they worked with a caseload of earthbound spirits either inside or outside the energy field? If they can't meet those 3 criterion, I won't even argue with them. I didn't realize this popular individual was one of them. But then I just had a clip sent to me of this individual saying, oh, if you go against me and you talk trash on me, I'm of the light. I'm of the light. Don't try it. I'm of the light. How are you going to say that when you're telling people not to go into it when you die? And I will tell you, Jessica, I've done now a lot of past life regressions. I've done a ton of crossing over earthbound spirits. But in the regressions I've done, each person I've done spiritually, not one of them has spirit during these regressions say, hey, I'm being forced to incarnate back on earth. I'm forced to incarnate over here. The light's making me do it. My guide here is making me do it. No, they all say the same thing. I have a choice. I'm choosing to go over here. It's very specific. Every single person. And some of them, I'm going to another universe. I'm choosing to do that. You know, that's at the soul level that we're not being told. I'm not getting all these soul traps that I thought I would get. And I've been looking for them, but I don't see them. They're not coming up. You know, it's not. So a lot of what we're being told is not correct about ourselves. And something else before I shut my mouth, all right? During these past life regressions, especially the one I do that's life between lives, all right, and you take the person all the way back and they'll actually go to being in the womb and tell you what it's like in the womb. They'll tell you they can come and go, and you ask them, well, when you go, you know, where do you go? And they'll tell you, in the place I've told you before, the place of translation and reconfiguration. It can be like an office or a library or a nature spot. It's somewhere where this person, this guide, brings these books or these ledgers, and they'll pull out one that is this lifetime. And the person goes through it and incorporates everything and then incarnates where they're going to go, where they want to. But you know, each time there will be these other souls on the side of this room over here. And I always ask for a number. I've gotten 6, 12, 24, and 18 once, 24 several times. These other souls over here that I have agreements with, and they're going to help each other. We're helping each other. And never once have they used the word contract, soul contract. Never. It's been agreement. And they're going to help me. Then I'll take them into other lifetimes. I'll isolate who that person is in this lifetime. They'll identify him, take them to another lifetime. Who's that person there? And sadly, a lot of times it's the person screwing them over. Each lifetime, screwing them hard. You know what I mean? It's
they follow us, man.
So that's a kind of agreement. Please, please screw me in my life. Please mess me up in my life.
People follow us every lifetime. Yeah, I know. I'm starting to recognize these people now. I wish I had recognized them a lot earlier.
They incarnate with us again and again. They incarnate
just to yeah. I mean, I guess it's to awaken us, like to make us awaken, but man, at some point,
it's to help. Like a lot of times the client will say, "Well, what is your main goal for coming to Earth this time?" They say it's to love and be happy. But then they got all this trauma when they get here, and from childhood on, and it's really hard.
We carry it, and that's why it's important for us to heal and to go through our healing journey. And part of that is like with people who are having these experiences with these weird cryptids, like the Kappa, okay, and I don't even remember the name of the other one, the Nommo, okay, having experiences with things like this, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever. It's to awaken us, I think, okay, and we're all here on a spiritual journey, and I like to say. Bigfoot is raising the consciousness of this planet one Bigfoot sighting at a time, okay, and Kappa sighting and whatever else we got out there.
I like that comment. I like that guy too. Long Island Bigfoot, they got good information. Right. I got attacked when I first started talking these communities because I talked about the Dogman Adventure Show, and these two guys just attacked the heck out of me. He's a molester. He's this and that. Hey, I don't know. I don't even care about that. I like the show he was doing. I mean, I got attacked hard for that. I don't know Vic Cundiff, but he does good work. I thought the show was cool. So I'm glad he said that there, and, get past some of that personal stuff and just what is the information being given? That's more important than diving into people's personal life and trying to discredit them. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean big time. A lot of people throw things out there just because they're jealous and stuff like that too. So you got to watch out for that. So yeah, but that's not what this show is about tonight. We're talking about Kappa. And but yeah, we know who the real ones are.
Keeps it real though. It keeps it real. And
that's keep it real. Yeah, Long Island Bigfoot definitely keeps it real. Everybody in my chat tonight, everybody's keeping it real. And so I love everybody for being here tonight. This has been a fantastic show. Another fantastic set of coordinates and blind targets, Barry. Thank you for assigning me those cool targets. So now we have
thank you for doing it, Jessica. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We have 2 more things to look out for and to have to worry about in the water when we go swimming.
Hey, when we were kids, it was just Jaws. Remember, it was just the great white you had to worry about.
I know, right? Now we got to worry about. I mean, I already have a hard time getting in the lake when I go to my sister's house. Like she has some lakefront property, and we go swimming out there, and it's hard enough to like swim from the middle of the lake over to where her dock is. It's so creepy. But now I get to think about this stuff. So yeah, thanks a lot, Barry. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Thank you to the group too. Sorry I didn't look at the chat too much this time. I apologize. I was too engaged, but I love everybody in there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good thing because I was laughing too hard tonight at some of these comments. Thank you, Brown Dwarf, and Brian and Mike and everybody was in there tonight. You guys are the best.
I'd be interested. I bet she's been there a bunch of times. I'd be interested to hear what Brown Dwarf thinks about Mount Shasta. I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe we can do a show on that sometime. But until then, okay, Barry, where can people find you? Tell everybody about your amazing YouTube channel and your Patreon.
I'm started doing stuff on Patreon again. Finally, I'm on there and I'm doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. A lot of information on YouTube. If Barry Littleton, I don't have any cool handles or anything. If you go there though, please look at the playlist because there's about 340 videos there, but only half of them come up if you don't press the playlist. So, yeah. So thanks though.
Okay.
BarryLittleton.com is my website, but I don't do much there. There's just links there to YouTube.
Okay.
I need to do some blogs, man. I need to be a blogger.
A blogger? Yeah, you should do that. I blog on mine. Absolutely. It's fun. And speaking of my stuff, you guys, please go follow me on Rumble. I have a Rumble channel, and I've had it for a while, but I've just finally gotten most of my videos uploaded there, and I'm going to try to get to be like more up to date on my Rumble channel. So you guys go subscribe or follow me on Rumble. We can get away with a lot more over there. I might actually start doing some live streams through Rumble where we can talk about more stuff that we can't talk about on YouTube. Okay, it's a possibility. I may start doing that. So y'all please come find me on Rumble. Okay. And so yeah, so Barry, thank you so much for being here. You guys, please come hang out with me this weekend on Spaced Out Radio. I have a really good friend of mine, Bob O'Kelly. He's been on my show here at the Cryptid Hunters channel. He was the Vietnam War vet who encountered rock apes in Vietnam. He's written a new book. He's going to be on my show Sunday night, actually. So I will, I'm going to be there. I'm not sure who my guest is Saturday night, but we're going to get one tomorrow. Okay. I'm a last minute
real interesting, those military people you're having on there. That's interesting. They know they've experienced it. I think that's fascinating to hear their testimonies. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really love, well, listen, first of all, I love my military vets. Speaking of which, I got Red Creek Mafia in here tonight. Hey, Mike. He's a military vet. So is Long Island Bigfoot. A lot of the guys in here and ladies are military vets. And so I absolutely 100% support all these folks big time. And so I love bringing them, especially the guys and the ladies who have had experience with cryptids during their military time. And I did talk to Mike earlier today about the giant of Kandahar. So maybe he and I can do a little something about that one day and talk more about that. He's got some good information. And thank you.
He was the one saying there was that him saying they were doing genetic cloning of it or something like that? Was that him typing that in the other day? Or you were interviewing?
Yes, probably.
Okay, yeah.
I actually remote viewed the giant of Kandahar a long time ago. And yeah, they went to go obtain a sample for human cloning or for giant cloning, I guess, military purposes. So yeah, let me read this. Chris Holmes, Skinny Chad Zumok. Japan has some cool yokai, like this ice woman and the spider people. Kappas are low tier. Wow, yeah, they have some really interesting cryptids out of Japan. So we could do a whole show on just cryptids out of Japan. And what is that movie where they have the girl that comes out of the well? What is that one? It's so scary. I forgot the name of that. That scary movie, The Ring. Oh yeah, The Ring. Don't watch that before you go to bed.
Sometimes I can only deal with so much zombie stuff. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chad. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, listen, we'll call it night.
Chad from our conference. Chad. Did I met?
I don't think it's the same Chad.
Or is that Chris? Who's your team member? Right?
That was Chad Wagner.
Chad Wagner, nice guy.
Journey to Truth. Yeah. This is Chad Zumok. Yeah. So thank you guys. I want to thank everybody for all the super chats, for all your support, for everybody for being here tonight, just for liking. You guys give this video a like before you head out tonight, and share it out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Rumble. Okay. I will see you guys this weekend on Spaced Out Radio. Barry, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for everything you do for the community, because you are awesome. And tell everybody about your conference before we go tonight.
Oh, thank you. In November 10th, 11th, and 12th, I'll be speaking at the Stairway to the Stars conference in Las Vegas at the Lexor. So anybody, if it's still a couple months away, if you want to go, it's a chance to I really enjoy those conferences. I get to meet people, talk a lot. And if you want to take a shot at me or whatever the case is, but try to come if you can. This will just be a fun event, I think. Never been to Vegas either, so I'm looking forward to it. So.
Awesome. I have a lot of friends going to that. So, man, maybe if I can, maybe I'll try to head out there too. Who knows? There may be a surprise visit by the
That'd be cool. Who knows? Really cool.
Yeah.
You can jump up there with me. You can talk about some of those remote viewing shows. So I'll probably go over a little bit of that during my presentation.
Who knows? We'll see. All right, everybody. Well, hey, I know there's a whole lot of great shows on tonight. Our buddy Tyler from Journey to Truth podcast is over right now. He and Aaron are debuting a really fantastic show. So you guys go over there, Journey to Truth podcast, or wherever you feel like going tonight. There's a lot of great shows on. All right. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I will see y'all this weekend. Bye. Bye, Barry.